Thank you for joining me for yet another unboxing video, and today we have the Kickstarter Slash, the horror movie role-playing game, created by Samuel Clark and art by Adriel Grimsley, brought to you by Skull Camera Productions. So I backed this on Kickstarter. It came with the core rulebook, which is right here, and some dice and some card sets, which are located right here in this old VHS tape container. I backed this because I love the 80s horror slasher films, from Friday the 13th to the remake of Psycho films to, of course, Jason and the Friday the 13th films, all those kinds of films. So the reality is, when I saw this on Kickstarter, I had to back it. So again, we're going to show you a little bit of the insides of the RPG core book, and of course, we'll show you the dice and of course the card sets that are also included in the Kickstarter that I purchased. There's also some online material that they sent me as well. I may throw a link up there so you guys can kind of take a look at that in case you want to go online and maybe become a late backer and maybe contact them and get this stuff if you're interested in it. Again, let's take a look at the back, see if there's any information on here. It says, Slash is a role-playing game inspired by the horror films of the 80s and 90s, starring you and your friends as classic horror archetypes. The game weaves a narrative of life, death, and tough choices. Play to survive as a genius detective or run up the stairs when you should be running out the door as a hapless socialite. With a 3-act system of choice and consequence and plenty of advice to help survivors and directors alike, you're sure to make a story worthy of the silver screen. It takes about 1 to 3 sessions, written again by Sam Clark, art by Adriel Grimsley, and it's produced by Skull Camera. So let's crack this bad boy open and see what we got in here. So again, I'm not going to read the whole book to you for obvious reasons, but let's take a look at the table of contents here. This says right here, it says Chapter 1, the prologue, what it is, playing the game, story structure, what you'll need, the 3 principles, the system, and the rest of the book. You got Chapter 2, which talks about creating your characters and the survivors. The rules are Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is the role of the director. Chapter 5 are more resources. So again, what is Slash? All right, so here I'm going to read this to you real quick, just give you a background about it. Slash is a hard tabletop role-playing game based on the slasher flicks of the 80s. You'll take on the role of a survivor, an ordinary person embodying a classic horror movie archetype who's unwittingly dove headfirst into horror. But beware, for a terrifying killer is on the prowl, hungry to hunt you and your friends down one by one. You'll fight tooth and nail for the chance to live another day in a harrowing scenario called a horror, making tough calls and split-second decisions in hopes that it will lead you to your escape. Thanks to a dice system where every roll has unintended consequences, you'll never know when a simple decision will lead you to a lucky getaway or an untimely death. Of course, Slash can tell more stories than just slashers, from paranormal hauntings to FBI investigations to survivalist disasters. The system works well whenever horror and suspense run the show. Survivors and killers are greatly customizable, so as long as your story keeps tension high and the players in over their heads, this game can bring it to life. All right, playing the game. You need skill dice, bonus dice, penalty dice, story structure. Slash is meant to be structured like a feature film, with danger always at hand and the story taking place over 1 to 3 sessions. Because of that, we'll use screenwriting terminology to describe this pacing and structure. Horror takes place in scenes. So we go through here what you're going to need, the 3 principles. Again, so the 3 principles of Slash. You're telling a story, you're on the run, your actions have consequences. The system. There's a dice system, it says here. Hits determine success. Opportunities cause positive side effects, while setbacks cause negative ones. You got skill dice, which are red, bonus dice, which are white, and penalty dice, which are black. Okay, so right up here, it tells you right there the type of dice. Don't have the special dice, use our online dice roller, or use this table to convert the results of a standard 6-sided dice to the Slash system. All right, we're going to learn about survivors, all the other good stuff. So going through here, now we got Chapter 2 is the survivors, making a survivor. That's your different steps. You want to choose your archetypes, set attributes, determine traits, choose phobias, give a backstory, gear, and luck. So your archetypes, you can be an athlete, a detective, the fool, the friend, the leader, the nerd, the rebel, the socialite, and the virgin. You have abilities, you have attributes, you got to roll them up. So your attributes you can have are charm, smarts, speed, tough, and will. You have health, starting fear. You have negative traits. Choosing traits, your personalities, physical, goals, skills, and relationships. Okay? Moving forward through the book quickly. You have example of different traits right there. You got some phobias. Phobia is general, relevant, and manageable. So phobia examples, actions, driving, lying, making decisions, stealing, creatures, birds, cats, things, places, concept of supernatural. So you can be afraid of lots of different things, obviously. You can get luck, regaining luck, starting luck, character development, taking on new abilities, upgrading your core abilities, and regaining luck. That's on this side. You got your archetype. Again, your sheets. You got your, also you have your, you need a character sheet, and here's how it's all set up here. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Your health, your luck, your charm, your smart, your speed, your tough, your will. Defying authority, what is your core ability? Luck, your phobias, your core ability, your wounds, your gear, notes. Down here, if you have any fear, bonus, bonus, none, penalty, and penalty. Your attributes, your wounds, and of course your fear track. Then it goes into each of your characters, what they can do. Explains everything you got there. So these are cool. You got these things you hear. So if you're going to make a person who's a detective, they give you different acts about the different things that they can be part of here. Just show you a little bit, just showing you how the book is kind of laid out. Then as we continue to go forward, you got the Fool. Again, it's showing the layouts for all the different character types, or the archetypes that you can pick. The Friend, moving on. The Leader, the Nerd, the Rebel, the Socialite. And again, these are all archetypes that from those 80s slasher films, obviously. The Virgin, the last one to die. Example of survivor creation. All right, how do you make checks now? That's the important thing. Describing an action, an attribute, what charm is used for, what smarts is used for, what speed is used for, toughness, and what will is used for. Of course, you have to have a dice pool. Difficulty classes, hard, very hard, extremely hard. Okay, building up dice pools. Reading your results, how do you see a success, a critical success, a partial success, a failure, or a critical failure. Opportunities and setbacks. Example of play. Again, have your fear die, resisting fear, acting irrationally. So you get angry, you choke, you deny, you fight, you flight, you freeze, you panic, you scream. Okay, continue moving on. Recovering from fear, calming down. Fear boost, other ways to stay sane. Again, gives you some more information there. Action sequences, turn order, set the scene, taking your turns. Moving on, you talk about other actions, helping someone else, protecting someone, getting ready to take on somebody, your movement. Again, you're talking about successes, whether you're going to face an obstacle, you got to climb a wall, you have a critical success, a success, failure, or a critical failure. Combat opportunities, action scenes, combat, chases. And then gives you all different types of written out examples of how that is, which I think is really cool. The fact that they put in here how you should run the game. Not only that, they show you examples of like a scene from the actual, your first game that you're rolling, you're playing along. What's that action look like when the gang enters the cabin on the forest trail? They give you really in-depth examples of how it would look while actually playing a game. You have round 1 and you have round 2 right here. So you're talking about wounds, minor wounds, moderate wounds, and major wounds, your current and maximum health, how you recover from wounds, death, playing after death, example, play downed. It's all right in here. Different gear you can have, obviously carrying things, special gear, weapons, describing weapons. You could have properties, area, block, charges, fast, flight only, knockdown, makeshift X, slow, thrown, two-handed, wounding, projectiles, fight modifiers, different kinds of weapons, from everything from an axe to a whip, improvised weapons. You break a chair, use that over his head. That's going to do some damage, some vehicles. And then you have the basic skill checks here. You got skill checks. All right, so you got the red dice for skill checks. Add bonus penalty dice, that's white or black. White or black again are bonus penalty dice. Modifiers are here. You got results of the rolling the dice. Fear DCs, uncomfortable, scary, uncomfortable, horrifying, traumatizing, killer's fright. Fear, calming down, all these things you need to know about. More references right here in chapter 3, references building survivor. Quick references how to do things without, you can make a photocopy of this right here and you have that on a table and you're all good to go. Chapter 4, what is the job of the director? Facilitating checks, pick an attribute, opportunity setbacks, balancing the game, survivor creation, different combat skills, different academic intelligence, judgment calls, directing, keeping tension high, adapting horrors, keeping the world alive, adapt, having fun. Then pre-production, the cast, who's going to be the characters in it, what's the name of the story, the pitching up for it, the location, where's it going to take place. So location scouting, isolating survivors, providing atmosphere, creating problems, hiding secrets. What's it called? How big is it? What's the terrain? What's its purpose? What are the key features? What's it hiding? What lives there? What dangers await? And here's a beautiful example of how to set the scene for the film. Again, you're making a film basically. That's the idea of this game here. You got set design, backstory, when and why is this going on? You know, why did the horror come to be? Who has been involved with this horror? Why are the survivors involved? Why does the horror start? Why does it need to be stopped? How does survivor, killer, or NPC past affect the horror? Okay, so over here again, how do you get in and out? Where are the threats? Where are the checks? What were the clues? Where is the gear that you need to survive? All that stuff here. Storyboarding, butterflies, casting a killer. Who's going to be your killer? What do they look like? How do they act? Who, when, why, and how are they killing? Then here you go, setting it up. Here's a sheet of how to create the killer. You have his fright, his speed, his smarts, his tough, his will, the description, his traits, his name, his wounds, his health, armor, his luck is 10, defenses, attacks, abilities, weakness, and one last scare. You know, they always seem dead at the end. Again, your attributes, killers have 5 attributes used in checks: fright, speed, smarts, tough, and will. Traits, and it gives an example of what those all are for your killer. Your abilities, one last scare, back from the dead, just beginning, just laugh, the curse, and the violent end. He's got luck to avoid being killed, right? Playing to the weakness, low tough, low speed, low will, low smarts. Then you can have non-player characters or NPCs. These are all the things that you use. These are all the things that you have characters who you don't really run, but you run into during your adventure. Contesting NPCs, you've got roll camera, directing the scenes, cutting away, stage directions, dramatic irony, the prologue, Act 1, the setup, point of no return, exploration. Act 2 is relentless horror. The killer gearing up towards Act 3. Act 3 should have beginning of the end, plant and payoff, the finale, and the epilogue, and the movie obviously ends after that. So here's some things that you can use for inspiration pages. That's cool too. Resources, cheat sheets, all that stuff that you need to have a great first game. Chase obstacles that you could run into. So you have everything from the chasm, the climb, the crowd, ducking, the killer, the locked door, the long hall, a maze, a rickety bridge, scramble over something, the shortcut, slippery terrain. You could have squeeze through a crevice, or the snare type of traps are going to be held up. The stream, going through a river, the trench trap, killer archetypes. Again, if they're wearing a mask or not. The abomination, these are just examples of different kinds of killers you can have. The ghost, the horde of wolves that are walking around killing things, or a horde of zombies, the mimic, a predator, the relentless killer, the killer, again, the sheet that you need, cinematic damage, and here's all your stat tables that you need at the end here. And of course you have an index. And so the reality is it a long rule book. It has a total of 163 pages. Really pretty nicely written. I've gone through it. You see some errors, but it really not that many. Again, this was done on Kickstarter. It came to me very, very quickly. I think I ordered it something like in maybe January last year, and I got it back very, very quickly, within the same year. So they were ready to roll with this, and I'm looking forward to being the director of my first adventure soon enough. So here you go. That's the core rulebook. And again, like I said, I also purchased this, which has several different things inside it, which includes your casting cards, your horror cards, and the dice that you need for the game. So let's put that to the side. We'll leave the rulebook over here. The dice, again, are unique dice specifically for the system. Again, inside the rulebook, they have, if you want to just use regular D6s, it shows you how to acclimate those dice to be the same as these dice. So what we got here, you've got your fear dice, which are your black die. None, one, 2 ones, 2 death's heads, and 2 blanks. So you get 3 dice that look just like that. Then you get your star, 2 stars, 2 pluses, and then blanks, 2 blanks. And then your red die have 2 stars, 1 star and a minus, a plus, minus, plus. Again, so use these die. All that's explained in the core rulebook, how to use these die. That's what the dice look like. So that's an add-on. That was an add-on for the dice pack. Again, you could have used regular D6s, as he said, or you could use the dice rolling mechanic that they have that's attached to the website. You also have the casting cards, which are right here. The definite add-on. I saw them, I said, have to pick them up. So right off the bat, it tells you right here, it says, casting a horror. To cast characters for the horror, simply draw from the casting deck. Directors can use this for NPCs or players who are short on time can draw a survivor to play as. These characters are themed for 1980s to modern day horror, so you might need to adjust their traits background based on your setting. In 1920s horror, a good with computers trait may become good with cars. Relationship webs. If you want to create a relationship web, place the casting cards you draw in a circle. Give each character a unique relationship. Example, sibling, lover, childhood friend with the 2 neighboring characters. Over here, building a killer. To randomly build a killer, first draw a killer card as base, either an archetype or one from the casting deck. Then draw ability cards. For each card, choose one of the abilities listed to give your killer and put it upright. Unless otherwise stated, you'll draw 3 of these cards. Now draw 1 or 2 motive cards and choose any number of motives on the cards. These are what drives your killer. Finally, draw a weakness card and roll skill dice to select a specific option on the card or choose one. Survivors can exploit this weakness to better defeat your killer. So on one side is building a killer, and the other is casting a horror. Okay, so there we go. So let's see what we got here. Al Chandra, the nerd. Again, you've got the title, the type of character he is, a photo of him, and then what his stat line is. On the back gives you some background information, including traits, phobias, and abilities. Book smarts, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It says a goal down here, document the horror and release it as a podcast. So again, all the cards are set up identically. Al Chandra, he's a nerd. Ben Michalski, the friend. Carla Suarez, the detective. Cassandra Watts, the virgin. Charles Hornberg, the socialite. Clarence Cho, the friend. Claudia Tan, the rebel. Alexandra Clinton, the detective. Danius Remus, the rebel. You have Darren Dalton, the socialite. Deborah Watts, the socialite. Expendable Eric, the fool. Espinosa Jameson, the athlete. Ethel Redmond, Ed Redmond, the virgin. Stuart Green, the leader. Gregory Gunderson, the friend. Jaron Winters, the nerd. Jason Blakeney, the leader. Joel, the friend. Josh Thomas, the nerd. Kate Bramblewood, the Virgin. Ed Kibba or Kidda. Leah LaPont. Luke Holstetter. May Kioka. Maya Herzog. Roz Amel. Mike Shaw. Stephen Barrett. Alexa Swan. Violet Mikalski. Willoughby Kepler. Zachary Zivek. Aurelion, the Killer Challenge. You got the Crossbreed, a killer. The Crossbreed. The Ironman. Pumpkin Jack. Lorcan. The Mold. N1647. Red and Blue. Shy the Wolf. The Trapmaster. Studio X. The Abomination. The Ghost. The Masked Killer Archetype. So let's take a look at his card real quick. So we got that. Again, down here is his skill set. Armor is 1. Flip that over. Again, a masked killer is a normal person who dons a mask, costume, or a persona to embrace their psychotic side. Attacks, machete, hammer, and an axe. Core ability under the mask. There you go. Then take 3 ability cards. So the masked, there you go. The Mimic, the Predator, the Relentless, and the Horde. So all these were talked about in the core book as well. So quick way to start your game and your campaign if you want, just teaching people how to play the game. Pull a couple of these cards out, have them pick one of the cards here, whatever, and you're ready to go. And you pull one of the pre-made killers out, and boom, you're ready to roll into your first game. So there it is right there. That's your first deck, which is your casting card deck. And that's your casting card. Nice, easy way to start off your game. Just over a little bit here. Put that in the camera there just so you have to see what it is. All right. And last but not least, you have your horror cards. Again, these cards are very good quality, I must say. I was a little bit skeptical at first. I was like, you know, he's putting a lot of time and effort into the book and the dice. Are the cards going to hold up to it? They are. They're actually very, very nicely done cards. Very cool. So we've got motive cards. We got weakness cards. Ability cards. And then obstacles, chase. Again, we're talking about horror cards. All right, so let's take a look at what it says here for obstacles first. Okay, understanding the chase deck. Lay out chase cards to make a map for an action sequence. If you would move off this map, the director either adds a card or declares it as a dead end. Each area enclosed by a red is a space. It takes 1 movement to move from one space to another. You can exit through any side of a space unless features like rocks or trees block that exit. If features are marked with text, example 3T slip, there are obstacles. You can move through them, but make the listed check to do so. 2T means 3D3. Tough. 3M dur means DC 2 smarts duration check, etc., etc. So here you go, obstacles. So let's take a look here. So they give you a couple of maps you could choose from. The woods. Looks like you got a lake there, the stream. That different maps again that you can have as part of your adventure that you're doing. You have a hiding spot, you have a stream, you have a scramble, slip, chasm. Again, you're gonna have to use your skill set to get through these areas because they are difficult terrain. Again, the red zones is where you have to kind of avoid. Then it says duck, slip. You've got a scramble to go down. It says this here: success, pass, fail. 1 move to pass, critical fail. You can't cross this turn or next turn. Find another way around. Okay, again, this almost looks like you're at a amusement park or something like that. The big tops and the tents and everything else like that. It's that way. A stream, a chasm. You need a lockpick to open that door over there. And that door has been broken. You can try to break it down. The long hall. Okay. So all these are included right here in your obstacles. There's the lake. Again, these are all maps you can play. Again, quick thing, if you want to use it, these are your chase cards, and these again are used to basically set up a map for your players to go through, some things that they have to fight through. Okay. Then we have the ability decks. So, Abominable Shift. Once per hour, the killer can become an abomination. It switches to the abomination archetype, takes new abilities, and gains 20 health. If the killer is already an abomination, instead it starts with +1 to any attribute. Another example, it could be a trap master. The killer excels at setting traps. Any obstacles they set get +1 to all DCs, noticing, avoiding, breaking free, etc., and deal +1 damage. So there's 2 abilities on each card. As you see, it's the title and the explanation. Title and explanation. So here we have Knowledge Thief, have Fright Fest. You have Energy Drain, and the other one is The Dead Don't Die. You've got Bloodlust and Too Mean to Die. Battle Ready and Shock Damage. Gas Bombs and Maddening Strike. With a chainsaw, and the other one's with a gun. Acid Spit, and you've got Red Right Hand. You have Electric Arc. This one says Strange Movement. You have Monologue. It's Them Officer. Seekers. Body Horror. Mimicry. Illusions. Balanced Meal. Venom. Opportunity Knocks. Precognition. Jump Scare. Telekinesis. Overwhelm. It says for a minion here. Let's see what it says. When this killer fights a target that someone has already fought, they take a +1 hit. Create 3 enemies with 8 health, armor, -0, and 2 in all attributes. They serve the killer as minions. Indomitable. Heavy Hitter. Slip Away. Horrifying Visage. Warriors. Defensive Stance. Vendetta. Enhanced. No Escape. Strategize and Instant Growth. Relentless Pursuit. Sprint. Stone Wall. Skirmisher. Infection. Regeneration. Rage. Swift Striker. You have Possession, Sneak Attack, and then you have Maneuver Master. Once per round, when the killer damages a target, they can also make a maneuver for free. The maneuver must still be appropriate. They can't grapple a target with a gunshot, for example. Or, when this killer is present, survivors reroll blank faces on fear penalty dice and reroll hits on fear bonus dice, or increase fright by 1. So, again, this helps you to easily set up and create your own villain, your own killer. Use these cards to set them up. That's your alibi cards. Again, these were your chase cards. Those are alibi cards. This is your explanation of the chase card. Then we have weaknesses. Again, a weakness, substance. The killer is weak to a certain substance or damage type. When damaged by the substance, their armor doesn't apply and they take extra damage, +2 double or the like. If they are normally immune to damage, they take regular damage from the substance. To choose the substance, roll 5 skill dice. 0 to 1, electricity. 2 hits of fire or acid, silver or another metal, special weapon, certain plant or herb, 6+ as a poison or a toxin. A behavior. The killer has a personality or behavioral flaw that clever survivors can exploit. Survivors get +1 to hit to poke at this flaw. While exploited, killers take -1 skill die to all checks and behave irrationally. Survivors can roll against the killer's will to exploit it further. To choose the flaw, roll 5 skill dice. 0 to 1 to hit, inability to improvise, arrogance or zealousness, a hidden insecurity, a phobia, afraid of heights, snakes, water, etc. An obsession, something they care deeply about, a pliable mind. Condition, the killer is weak in a certain environment or when a condition is met. When the condition applies, this killer takes -1 skill die to checks, rolls instead of us using positive DCs, and can't use abilities. They might also take damage or lose their armor. To choose the condition, roll 5 skill dice. 0 to 1 in a certain location, 2 hits in direct sunlight, 3 hits in extreme heat or cold. A ritual is performed, a mystery entwined with the killer is solved when hit with a weak spot or fought with a certain strategy. And that's the weakness of the killer. That's that one here. And last but not least, the killer needs a motive. Why did he decide to go on the killing spree? Is it for control, for chaos, coerced, or instinct, entertainment, or desperation? Was it for protection, or was it for machinations? And let's take a look at this one. Is it for revenge, or is it for obsession? So revenge. The killer wants revenge on those that have done wrong. They'll focus on the survivors that deserve it the most, but they may also kill those that stand in the way. Roll 2 skill dice. They're killing those 0 hits they do not trust, they deem bad, or who wronged them. On the other side, obsession. The killer is obsessed with something, and murder is the only way to satisfy. Roll skill dice. They're obsessed with the act of killing, specific survivors, collecting trophies, blood, gore, pain, etc. So these cards, again, all these cards here are utilized in your horror cards. They're utilized to create your actual villain for the game. So anyway, this is everything that was included in the Kickstarter that I backed for the RPG Slash. So as I've always said before, thank you so much for joining us for this unboxing video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. You could also hit that subscribe button. This way you're kept up to date as to any time we release any new content to the page. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, be well, enjoy the remainder of your day, and we'll catch you on the next unboxing video.